All right, let's break down the absolutely wild public journey of a solo app developer who went from nothing to a five-figure monthly income. This is a true masterclass in persistence, smart strategy, and turning pure frustration into a massive success.
This single quote really captures the entire story. Our developer, Nakamura, started with literally zero coding skills, so overwhelmed he couldn't even finish a tutorial video. And yet he ended with one simple, powerful piece of advice: just start. So, what on earth happened in between? How did he get from that point of despair to earning over 13 grand a month?
So let's dive into section 1, the start. Our story really kicks off back in October 2020. That's when Nakamura decided to publicly document his journey to build an app empire, from the ground up. He was starting from absolute zero.
Now, to be fair, he wasn't a total rookie when it came to making money online. But for mobile apps, yeah, he was starting from scratch. I mean, he said it himself. Before 2020, he had absolutely no knowledge about mobile apps at all. He learned everything the hard way, watching YouTube, reading blogs, and just a whole lot of trial and error.
And you know what? He started to see some progress pretty fast. By December 2020, just a couple of months in, he was already pulling in about 50 to 60 bucks a day from ads. It wasn't life-changing money yet, but it was proof that this whole thing could actually work. But it was a grind, and a much, much bigger challenge was waiting just around the corner.
And this brings us to the main event, the central conflict of his story, a brutal, soul-crushing battle he called the Google Gauntlet. It was an all-out fight against the completely unpredictable policies of the Google Play Store.
You can just feel the frustration in that, right? This became his nightmare. He'd build an app, get it approved, and then bam, it gets suspended for some tiny issue that he could have fixed in 5 minutes. It was this constant, demoralizing cycle.
Think about this for a second. He was living under this constant threat. At any moment, with no warning, his entire business could just get wiped out. An account terminated, an app suspended, or even worse, thousands of dollars in revenue he'd already earned, just gone.
And this is where things just get completely absurd. Google actually suspended one of his apps for deceptive behavior because he added a disclaimer to be transparent with his users. He was literally punished for being honest. It makes no sense at all.
And look, this wasn't just about frustration. We're talking serious financial consequences here. Imagine earning $5,000, money you are depending on, only to have it disappear hours before you're supposed to get paid, with no explanation and no way to fight it. The feeling must have been just complete helplessness. But like any great story, this one has a turning point. After getting beaten down by the Google Gauntlet, our hero found a new way forward, a strategic pivot that changed the entire game for him.
He quickly realized the difference between the two platforms was just night and day. Google Play was what he called the fucking cycle of unpredictable suspensions. But the Apple App Store? Sure, they were picky, but they were consistent. He knew the rules. And that stability let him build a real business, a business that eventually brought in 98% of his total income.
So pivoting to iOS was one half of the puzzle. The other half was a full-on technological revolution that was happening at the exact same time. The arrival of generative AI was like a massive power-up, basically giving him the skills of an entire development team in a browser tab.
And that right there, that insight changed everything. All of a sudden, the huge financial risk of hiring a team of developers, it was just gone. He could now build complex, professional-grade apps completely by himself, with just his ideas and an AI assistant.
So he's got a stable platform in this unbelievably powerful new AI toolkit. What happens next? Well, the results were pretty insane. Let's look at how this solo empire was actually built.
I mean, just look at this growth. It is staggering. He went from grinding it out for $100 a day in late 2020 to clearing over $13,500 a month in pure profit by mid-2024. This wasn't a slow crawl. It was a rocket ship, fueled by that pivot to iOS and is all in bet on AI.
Now, this is really revealing. If we look at where that money came from, you can see that while ads got him started, the real money was in in-app purchases. We're talking subscriptions and premium features. They made up a whopping 80% of his income. That's a huge shift from a low-margin ad game to a high-value subscription model.
But here's the key takeaway. It wasn't enough to just build an app and put it on the store. He realized that to get people to actually pay for something, the quality had to be incredible.
His best apps looked and felt like they were built by $1 million company, and that polish inspired people to trust him with their money.
Okay, so that's the story. But what are the actual actionable lessons you can take from all this? Well, his entire journey can pretty much be distilled into a clear playbook for anyone out there thinking about doing this.
His process is actually super simple and data-driven. First, just build an MVP, a minimum viable product. Don't go for perfection, just get a basic version out there with analytics baked in. Then you let the user data tell you what to improve. And this one's crucial. You have to know when to cut your losses and move on if a project just isn't working.
Now, when it came to actually making money, his strategy was seriously sophisticated. He offered a bunch of options, weekly, monthly, yearly, and found that weekly subscriptions, believe it or not, often gave him the best return. He was constantly A/B testing price points and using tools like RevenueCat to manage and optimize his paywalls to get the most conversions possible.
And for anyone out there thinking, okay, but what app would I even build? His advice is refreshingly simple. Just go look at what's already popular in the top 100 charts for ideas. He says that with AI blowing things wide open, there are unlimited new niches popping up every day. He insists, seriously, that finding a viral app idea is easier right now than it has ever been.
So, when you boil it all down, the story gives us a pretty clear formula, right? It's about having the sheer grit to push through those frustrating obstacles. It's about being smart enough to pivot when one path isn't working. And it's about having the foresight to grab onto game-changing tech like AI to just pour gasoline on your efforts.
This whole journey proves one thing. The rules of the game have changed. A single, dedicated person can now build something that truly rivals what used to take a massive company and a huge investment. The tools are here. The playbook is right in front of you. So the only thing left to ask is the same question he posed at the very beginning: when are you going to just start?